There has been a, for a long time we used to ask about the Bush administration, stupid or evil? And it's also possible at times where it's both. Now, let's take, for instance, Ben Shapiro here. Ben Shapiro had this to say on his show. And this is one of those perfect examples of does Ben Shapiro not, does he just simply lack the integrity? Or does he just talk without any awareness of what he's said in the past? He just throw stuff off so carelessly and make these pronunciations because there's so much, he sticks his finger up in the wind and the currents on the conservative side are so cohesive that you just got to do that quickly. You know which way the wind is blowing. You blurt it out. Boom. You move up a rung in their little social, metrics, and they get more funding. And that's what he does. And that's why he can't remember anything he said in the past. Or if he just has no integrity, and maybe I'm saying the same thing, because he has no integrity, he doesn't have to think about what he said in the past. None of it's relevant. And that's what allows him to do this. It really is a genuine mystery to me, but it's almost like on a daily basis that the further this guy goes in his career, the more he produces in terms of an output, the more he exposes himself as a total joke. This is a guy that they called the Prince philosopher of the right, or
cool kids philosopher.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, honestly, this is how shallow their integrity and intellect is. Here is Ben Shapiro, and he could actually be a fairly smart guy, but I think that because he lacks such integrity, that there's no rigor. Here he is making what is not even demonstrable is almost too weak of a word to say a demonstrable untruth.
It's like setting up an alley-oop where you pass the ball to the guy and then he dunks on you.
Here is Ben Shapiro. Exactly.
Republicans impeached Bill Clinton in the 1990s. They never made a move to impeach Barack Obama, despite the myriad scandals that cropped up during his administration. I'm not aware of a single major Republican...
Pause it. Now, wait a second. I want to just go back and set the table here. He's talking about the Trump derangement syndrome or something.
He was black, and they never impeached him for it.
Now, I don't know what the myriad of scandals were that he was talking about. I really honestly don't. But just the myriad.
The myriad syndrome.
Understand, we're talking about a president in Donald Trump where he's 20, maybe more, White House officials have had to leave because of inspector general reports, because of criminal investigations. I mean, there's nothing even that remotely, you could go back and add up various two-time presidencies and not get anything even remotely close to this.
Trump derangement syndrome. That's what you have.
But listen to where he's going with this, because this is really stunning. We're talking, this is not ancient history he's commenting on now.
Barack Obama, despite the myriad scandals that cropped up during his administration. I'm not aware of a single major Republican figure who said that Barack Obama was not the legitimate president of the United States, despite the fact that Democrats have claimed that George W. Bush was illegitimate. They've claimed that Donald Trump is illegitimate. So this is just not true. And doubts about Barack Obama's belief system came from Barack Obama being an extraordinarily radical figure. Barack Obama said he wanted to fundamentally transform the nature of the country. That's a pretty radical statement.
All right. Well, let's put aside how radical of a president Barack Obama was. The idea that there was no, what did he say? There was no
major Republican
figure who questioned Obama's presidency. It wasn't until someone pointed out online, hey, you left out Donald Trump, who was one of the top birth certificate truthers in the country, if not the top birth certificate truther. And he's a Republican president now. And so Shapiro goes on to Twitter to defend this because, like I say, they don't have they are blessed with a lack of integrity that also gives them a lack of like sort of examining anything that's going on. It's a very bizarre sort of trait that they have.
And then you can retreat into pedantry.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, wait a second. Do you use an apostrophe there? That doesn't count. But he goes on and he says, Trump was a fringe character for nearly the entirety of the Obama presidency. He wasn't a Republican figure, he puts it in quotes, until he ran. Now, I don't know what Republican...
until he was aggressively sought?
Wait. I don't know what Republican figure, the word figure means, right? But this is the key. Like, I'm going to use words that could, like, that really are defined by me, right? Like, that are open. Until he ran. You can't name a single major elected Republican official during Obama's presidency who challenged the legitimacy of his presidency. Okay, so what Ben Shapiro has done, allow me to get a little bit Ben Shapiro-y, is he's postulated two assertions. One is that Donald Trump was a fringe character. He wasn't a Republican figure until he ran. Well, as you know, he ran in 2015. Here is Ben Shapiro tweeting in 2011. Why I back Donald Trump on the Ben Shapiro at big810am.com. Back in April 10th, 2011, TCOT Tea Party. That is a tweet of Ben Shapiro's talking about his radio show, why he backs Donald Trump in the 2012 presidency. Undeclared Donald Trump, who was not even a Republican figure. Now, by figure, I meant like someone who weighed over a certain... I don't know what the figure means, but he clearly was enough of a Republican figure that Ben Shapiro would dedicate an episode of his show to backing him. But maybe that's just a one-off. Oh, except for 2 days later, The Magic of Donald Trump, written by Ben Shapiro in Town Hall.
Maybe he thought he was going to run as an independent.
This is what's so funny is that Ben Shapiro does not even have, like, his whole brand is built on the notion. I mean, first he's like part of this weird kid conservative thing. I was like the Republican obsession with having like odd teenagers say their talking points. But he basically has a brand that's built on being a thinking person's conservative by like overwhelming college students
right,
at
well,
public
no
forums. But I'm saying like
let me finish here on this.
Breitbart, whole career at Breitbart.
Of course,
before this.
It's absurd. In reality, the birth certificate is specifically geared towards certain political ends for Trump. This is him writing about. First, it's obviously calculated to attract the most anti-Obama segment of the conservative base. Indeed. And is already conceded if primary polling is any indicator. Second, it's designed to force Obama into defending his character. Trump has already suggested that at his best, Obama refuses to come clean to the American people. Finally, it shows Obama that if Trump is nominated, the campaign will not be a McCain-style love fest. He's writing this in 2011. Understand. He's writing this in 2011. In promotion of Donald Trump to run against Barack Obama. And explaining why this works for Republicans. Is Donald Trump the best Republican candidate for president out there? It would be tough to argue otherwise, he writes. This guy claims he's not even a Republican figure until 2015. He's got all the makings of a breakout star. He's got bravado and the cash to back it up. If he really runs, he won't have any trouble finding supporters. As he puts it, the Obama administration's worst nightmare. Who can argue with him? Okay, so let's go back to the original tweet that Ben Shapiro had, where he made two separate assertions. We have already established that assertion number one, Trump was a fringe character for nearly the entirety of the Obama presidency, was a lie. He wasn't a Republican figure until he ran. Well, of course, Ben Shapiro in 2011 certainly thought otherwise, but that, of course, was only 5 years earlier from the time that he ran. Then the second assertion that Ben Shapiro makes is that you can't name a single major elected Republican official during Obama's presidency who challenged the legitimacy of his presidency. Well, let's go through it, shall we? Do you have those other tweets? Do you have the Mark Meadows video? Where Mark Meadows, and you know who Mark Meadows is, right? One of the top Republicans, the chair of the Freedom Caucus. Do you have the Mark Meadows stuff? We will pull that up right worth. There is a lot of folks, apparently, who were Republican leaders who questioned Barack Obama's legitimacy as president. Let's start with Mark Meadows back in 2012. Do we have that video? Brendan? It was in that thread. Yep. Here it is. Sorry.
He's also moving the goalposts, right, to try to define Trump of being a Republican figure.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Say again?
He's also moving the goalposts to try to define Trump out of being a quote-unquote Republican figure when he defines it as a major elected Republican official, right? Like, you don't have to be an elected official to be a Republican figure.
There's absolutely no version of this where it's in that thread, the Ben Shapiro thread, right here. Scroll down. People came in and put it in there. Go ahead. Here's Mark Meadows.
So it seemed like this was settled. During the meeting. What are you learning now?
Yeah, Anderson, certainly some new scrutiny over things that Mark Meadows has said in the past. This is first and foremost something that he said 7 years ago back in 2012 about then President Barack Obama. It was something at the time that was quite controversial and it was reported on by many outlets. But certainly given that very emotional back and forth and high profile back and forth at the Cohen hearing today, it certainly is getting a fresh look today. Here's first what Mark Meadows said back in 2012.
What we're going to do is take back our country. 2012 is the time that we're going to send Mr. Obama home to Kenya or wherever it is. We're going to do it.
We also had multiple U.S. senators question Barack Obama's legitimacy as president. I'm trying to find this thing now. I can't find it in the goddamn notes. We had Shelby from Alabama, Mark Meadows. There were dozens of these people who had done it. So number two on his assertion is also wrong. Trump was a Republican figure. And there were plenty of elected Republicans who also failed.
Richard Shelby, who's a prominent U.S. senator, said in 2009, well, his father was Kenyan, and he said he was born in Hawaii, but I haven't seen any birth certificate. You have to be born in America to be president, he told constituents. I think, the senior Republican on the Intelligence Committee.
I mean, there were so many. Who else? There was others. I had that list. I don't know where it went. Where is it? Here we go. I can't see it. I don't know where you're sending me. Oh. All right. I can't get at it. I can't see where. Oh, here we go.
Jim
Mark Meadows, Marsha Blackburn, Louis Gohmert, Blake Farenthold, Tom Coburn, James Inhofe, Jason Chaffetz, Sarah Palin, Michael Burgess, Alan West. Half those people ran for president as a Republican. So,
to be fair, none of them are as prominent Republican figures as Trump.
You know what my favorite thing is when you watch Ben Shapiro being fed his lunch to him, what he does after that is he starts tweeting maniacally about many other topics to bury this stuff as far as he can in his timeline. But the idea that, yes, here is in Las Vegas where Mitt Romney accepts the endorsement from Donald Trump.
To happen to this country that we all love.
Now pause it. Now wait a second. I also want to just preface it with this. If you look in the corner of the television, there's 3 letters there. The letters are PBS. There are plenty of times where a politician goes around and gets endorsements from people that barely make the local news. But when Mitt Romney went to kiss the ring of this non-Republican figure, apparently, who Ben Shapiro wanted to be president in 2012, it made it onto PBS.
He's smart. He's sharp. He's not going to allow bad things to continue to happen to this country that we all love. So, Governor Romney, go out and get him. You can do it.
That was a nice hand pull there. Yeah, I noticed that too.
There are some things that you just can't imagine happening in your life. This is one of them. Being in Donald Trump's magnificent hotel and having his endorsement is a delight. I'm so honored and pleased to have his endorsement. And of course, I'm looking for the endorsement of the people of Nevada. And,
yeah, there you go.
Gotta praise the hotel.
Who is that guy? What is he doing there? You would think that it's
isn't
such
he-
a
isn't
part
he-
and part.
Isn't he part of the resistance in the Senate? Has anybody heard Mitt Romney's name mentioned
Right.
anything? Right. The new
I was
map.
actually going to say. I was actually saying in the context of 2012. Why would you have such a bizarre, obscure, non-Republican affiliated figure for such a major endorsement?
So Ben Shapiro takes it again on the chin. I can't wait for the next New York Times think piece on his. We'll get another profile of Ben Shapiro. Oh my God.
He's brilliant.